Living in the high country, it just becomes your everyday playground. You can't help but be inspired by what you see around you every day.
One of the great things about living down here is that you get the 4 seasons. Your creativity changes as those colours change and as the landscapes change.
The colours in this region are absolutely amazing, from all the different shades of yellow and orange and red for autumn, and you've got beautiful blues and cool colours over the winter. In spring there's a plethora of colours, and in summer, green and green and green.
You have to be really focused with what you're doing. If I'm thinking about too many things or I'm having a stressful day, things just don't work out on the wheel. So sometimes it's actually nice as a way to just switch off and really focus on one particular project.
You have to practice, because you're not relying on the machine to actually sew the stitch. You're relying on you moving the fabric underneath the needle to create the pattern that you want to see on your quilt.
I used to live in a big city and I had an office job which just didn't give me the creativity that I wanted it to give me. I remember doing ceramics at school and quite enjoying it, so I joined a community studio in the city and had a few lessons. I enjoyed that creative outlet, got really hooked on it, and then moved to Bright. The rest is...
I was building houses here locally and working with the builders, and I got to a point where we did a lot of structural steel welding in the steel frames of the houses we were building, and I just started to love working with steel. If you make a mistake with steel, you can weld it up and fix it, whereas if you make a mistake with timber, it's too bad, you've got to go get another piece. And the more I worked with steel, I decided I wanted to get more involved in that artistically, and the idea of doing sculpture work, and then eventually the fire pits came along.
I started my sewing career as a dressmaker, so I went to TAFE and learnt to do pattern design and fashion design. But when we moved here in 2001, there was no fabric shop, no dressmaking shop. Then I went to a class on free motion quilting, and that's when it went bing. Quilting is the process of sewing the 3 layers of the quilt together, so each quilt has a top, a batting and a backing fabric, and the quilting is what keeps all those 3 layers together. Some quilts take many hundreds of hours. I've got foundation paper piece quilts that have taken 150 hours to piece, and then about 100 hours to quilt them.
Anyone can pick up a lump of clay and make it into something, but yeah, it really takes a lot of energy and emotion invested in really honing that skill, and it's nice to be able to produce products that other people appreciate the amount of time it's taken and the skill that's been involved. For me, this area is perfect. I like to go out running on the trails. There's skiing in the winter on the mountains. I can get on my bicycle and ride up Mount Buffalo in the morning. I mean, you can't really get much better than that.
Quite often I'll be mountain biking and you'll see the perfect tree with the perfect silhouette. You draw on everything around you to create that complete picture that will become the 3D spherical design.
The colours of the trees, the colours of the river, the colours of the mountains, all of those things can influence the design as well.
There are so many local craftspeople around. There's people that do leather work, there's candle makers. I've met silversmiths.
So I've got friends who make things from glass. There's blacksmiths.
If you're coming here as a visitor, often there's makers markets. You can go and check out all this stuff, and it's fantastic to just see everyone's individuality come together in the products that they create.
It's really rewarding when you're at the local markets to talk to visitors and to be able to give them something that they can take home. They can remember their trip by. They've got a connection to the local area.
People always asking us, where do we go to eat? Where do we go to see the best view of Mount Buffalo? So it's really great to welcome everyone, help them choose some fabric and take a little bit of Bright home with them.
Here, grinding and cutting away, covered in dust and burning yourself, days like that, you kind of lose touch of what you're really creating, and then when you see the finished product and your customers standing around it and they're having a fantastic time, you know that it's something that is going to last them their lifetime. It's a magic feeling, and it makes all the dust and the grit, it makes it all worthwhile.